And welcome back to the Constitutionals podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premier podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. All right, so this is a very late episode. Not very late, it's probably like a couple of days. And you can also probably hear my television playing in the background. Also, I have not addressed the camera yet. This is episode 184 of the Constitutionals podcast. I believe it is 184. I refuse to check. I can definitely hear the TV in the background. Listen, this isn't going to be a long one. You know what? I also even said up front. Didn't record it. Not forgot to. I knew what I was going to do, but I just didn't record this part. What you're going to experience is the first. Hey Google, launch Netflix on Xbox One. Okay, just something to get this to get the TV to turn off or to turn a different thing. So what you're gonna get for the first 15 minutes of this, and God, I don't even know if this is gonna last 15 minutes of whatever I have to say is, it will be a traditional me talking into the microphone, and then there you go. Netflix finally launched an Xbox. The last I think 40 minutes of this is going to be my interview with the Spanish Aquí presents. Now, did I have to do the accent? I did not. Why did I do the accent? Because it's a little bit racist. I'm sorry. I do apologize. Spanish Aquí presents, if you don't know, is a comedy group. And I refrained from saying troupe. An improv group based in Los Angeles. They host a live show featuring a bunch of acts from the Latinx community. Comedy, singing, all that. They interview Latinx actors. And like Natalie Morales. And they're all very funny actors and comedians themselves. Now, I had chances, and they have a podcast. I forgot to get to that part. They have a they have a podcast version of the live show, which is just them talking to people that they like on their podcast. So it's very fun, very funny. You learn something. They're all great people. Not a limit in the bunch. Now, I had a chance to interview them. If you don't know, if you don't subscribe to the YouTube channel for some reason, I don't know why you subscribe to this, but not the YouTube channel. You can check it out. Check out the full interview. But if for some reason you have not watched that interview, or even part of it, I prefer you watch the whole thing, but even part of it, video version people watching the video of this will get, if you don't have 40 minutes to kill, which if you're watching my videos, you got some time to kill, then the video version people will get a nice 15-minute chunk that I had to cut down. Oh Jesus! I'm sorry. I'm still having trouble placing this microphone because the desk had to move over because of this new bookcase, and it keeps falling by itself. But the video version people get to see me. Get to see this microphone fall at least twice now, and then B, get to see a short 15-minute version I had to cut for Instagram because Instagram cannot take videos over 15 minutes. But I routinely see people on there with like 50-minute videos, so it doesn't make sense to me. Maybe those are business accounts. Well, C Plus Comedy is a business account over there on Instagram. So anyway, so here we are. What is there to talk about? Well, I was going to record this on a Friday, and I didn't. When you have like 5 days off in a row, you just don't do anything. You you don't even plan to pretend to be like you're going to do something. I didn't do anything. I spent so much money on Black Friday. And most of all of it has arrived. Last year I got an Instant Pot, the 2013 model, I believe. And it's one of the best. It's actually sitting right here next to me because I got a new one. I got the newest version of that model that came out last year. And it was on sale for cheaper than I bought that Instant Pot from last year. And, or was it? No, actually, it really doesn't matter. Either the people under me or the woman next to me just love slamming their door. And and it's just a cacophony of things I can hear and feel under my feet and on my wall. I bought Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, which I was playing before this. $15. Oh God, I forgot to take out the trash. Oh man, the trash people just rolled by, I think. And I can just walk it down. I have legs. Let's see. It's a great game. It takes you through the entire Dragon Ball Z saga, and then there's DLC, downloadable content, that takes you through the first two seasons, I guess, of Dragon Ball Super, or the first two new movies that came out. Not Brawly, but the first two new movies, like Resurrection F, which stands for Frieza, and Dragon Ball Z Gods, I believe. I don't know. I just bought the disc. I didn't buy the season pass. It's everything in a Dragon Ball game I wanted. I mean, it's an RPG and it's a fighting game. The thing is, there's some things I would rather have not have been. You know, it's not a fully open world game. There's a world map and you have to travel to hub worlds and everything, but that's fine. And loading times are still suspiciously long, which is very strange for me. But I'm enjoying the game. I also bought Fire Emblem Three Houses on a Nintendo Switch, and I wanted to play that game ever since it came out. And I started it last night. I got through one cutscene and I fell asleep. This is at midnight, so it was probably my fault for starting it that late. What else? Did I buy any other games? I don't think I did. I bought some 4K HD movies. I don't have a 4K player yet, but they did come with Blu-rays. 1917 and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, because they're cheap. And I bought a Bluetooth speaker that I used for a hike yesterday, which was great. I didn't turn it. I didn't blast it. I just had it at a nice low volume to where even if people passed, they still couldn't hear it. And that's about it. What else is going on in my life? Thanksgiving, fine. It was all right. Made stuff by myself. Hung out with my cat. I think my cat has been dealing with some respiratory cat flu, common cold stuff, and been giving her medicine or what she'll take, And she seems to be getting a little bit healthier. I just saw a light go on my balcony, and no one can reach my balcony but me, so I'm very curious as to what that is. She seems to be doing fine. She's still sneezing a little bit. I bought an Xbox Series X controller because it still works on Xbox One, and eventually it'll work on iPad, so I can play a game on here, and Android, so I can not play a game on my phone. What else is going on? Oh, so anyway, the cat seems to be doing better. She has not vomited, since last week, so knock on wood for that. And her eye, she had like a little eye thing, so I had to keep putting medicine in her eye, which was not fun doing in the morning because she would run away from me. And one day she hissed at me, so I said, we're not going to do this for a day. And she didn't like the ear medicine I have to give her. But yeah, and she's been taking her probiotics because I had to put that in the food, and she'll eat it. That's good. But so far, so good. Her eye has opened up. Last night or yesterday, day before. Yeah, yesterday, she was just meowing. And I looked in her eye, and it's a little bit inflamed, and she could like barely open it all the way. And then this morning, today, she's running around the apartment, just knocking things down and playing and having a good time. And she's doing great. My sweet little Nova cat. Yeah, I like her. She's cool. Today was low key for us. I got a washer and dryer. I had to move down here by myself, and the vent is too short and it will not fit over the dryer and the wall, between the dryer and the wall. So I have to get maintenance in here to look at that. Listen, my life is not exciting. It's just a lot of me being alone and cooking and stuff and playing video games and hanging out with this cat. Oh, I finished South Park Stick of Truth. I played that game years and years ago when it came out. And actually when it came out on 360, I played, I want to say, the first three and... No. I played up until the alien spaceship. And then, so I remembered everything, but like I have this crazy encyclopedic memory of movies and video games and things. And I played Jimmy Christmas, and I played up until the spaceship part, which is like, I don't know, 2 some odd hours in there. And oh, look at me, I'm getting in. Oh, just an email. Thought it was a text. No one cares. I played until a certain point, so I knocked it out, and that was fun. And then I played Fractured But Whole, the sequel to Stick of Truth, when it came out originally, and I played about 3.5 hours of that. And I tried to just hop back in because I didn't want to play 3.5 hours of a video game again, even though I didn't really care. And I couldn't. I didn't know how to fight because there's a different fighting system, and I just said, all right, I got to restart this game. So now I had to restart that game. Same thing happened with Persona 5. Not Royale, which is the upgraded version of the game, which I also own. I own both versions of Persona 5. No big deal. I played, I think I played like a couple hours of that, and then for some reason it didn't save on the PS4, and which is an issue I have with a lot of games, but it just didn't save. And I tried, so I had to replay it. I think like twice, not the entire game, but I had to replay like the opening like a couple of times. And then the same thing happened for Dragon Quest XI Definitive Edition on the Switch. I played the demo. They had a demo that lasts, I think, like 11 hours out of like a 150-hour game. And I played like a couple hours of that, and then I guess I don't know how to save in the demo, even though it tells you how to save, because you have to go to certain points to save. And I just kept restarting it, and I promise you, I played almost 10 times. And then I eventually bought the game by accident when I meant to buy Pokemon, and and then and the demo save transfers over, but it was. You can play the game in 2D or 3D, and I reloaded the game in 2D, but I didn't have the 3D save, so I had to restart from like 3 hours prior to where I was in. So it's really exciting. It's super exciting. What else did I do? Oh, Never Not Funny had. I didn't want to know if I wanted to mention this, but Never Not Funny had a live stream today, and I watched. That was pretty much it. Truly, nothing going on in my life. Nothing exciting, nothing fun. Okay. Well, it seems like it's enough. We're at 12:42. I just gave up halfway through. All right, so listen. Spanish Aquí presents. Great people, Riza Laika, Tony Rodriguez, Carlos Santos, and Oscar Montoya. I love that name, Oscar Montoya. Oh my gosh. All very funny people, all very funny actors, and we get into it. We talk about some serious stuff. Watch the full interview, watch the full video, and then also, just watch the next 15 minutes. Watch the next 15 minutes, and you'll understand. It's the same thing. It's the same video. I just cut out a bunch of stuff. Thank you for watching. If you like what you heard here, remember you can always head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, to see more interviews like the Spanish Aquí Presents one. I believe tomorrow, or today by the time you listen to this, I will have up Johnny Brennan from the Jerky Boys. The embargo was up Friday, and then I was like, I'm not doing anything Friday. So, yeah. Okay. YouTube, cpluscomedy.com for more interviews. Then if you want to see a video version of the show, youtube.com/cpluscomedy, where you can see my mug. And then also on youtube.com/cpluscomedy is our premiere show, News Time, which is a news magazine, entertainment, business style show. The Daily Show, but less funny, also with a comedy story. With a story about something comedy related. I don't know what last week's episode was about, so you'll have to look it up yourself. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, @CPlusComedy. Rate, review, subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for listening. And I'm going to play the Going to Break song because that's where we're going to a break, and then you'll see the video. All right. Or, if you'll see the video, if you're watching the video, and if you're listening to the podcast, you'll hear the whole interview. Okay, that's it. I'm leaving. Goodbye.
I mean, it's fine if you use it how that's. I just wasn't sure, so I just set it up. I had it set up from yesterday from recording.
Well, thank you for being proactive. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
That. She's yeah. That's why we're even here. I feel. Are we starting this already?
Yeah, I mean, we could. Yeah, this whole thing could be because of 2 years in the making. This is leading up. Everything you guys have done in the past 3 to 4 years has been because of her, and now
No,
that was our runner-up name for the team. Because of
just her.
Just her.
Because of her.
Because of her. Hillary could have used that a couple of years ago.
We were all thinking it. You said it. I'm so glad you said it. It's these past couple of days. I don't know about you guys, but I'm in Georgia, so seeing just all this ballot counting here has just been nerve-wracking, and
wow.
I'm ready for it to be over.
I can wait for the HBO movie. For they always manage to do the HBO movie of whatever election happened is more ludicrous, like the dimple chads, or what was it called back in 2000? The hanging chads or the
hanging chads?
Hanging chads.
Oh yeah.
Was that 2012 or was that 2000?
2000.
Yeah, that's right.
I just changed from Florida to New York to vote.
Wait, what do you mean? You're not California?
In 2000.
Oh, I thought you meant now. I was
then, I'm voting for Hillary for Senate in New York.
Got you. I was like, wow, here you are just admitting voter fraud. All right. Cool.
I'm my tag character. She also votes voter fraud.
Well, it was so much easier to vote back then. I wasn't able to vote back then, but it just seems like it was so much easier, even if there was a little bit more corruption.
Corruption's always been there.
Yeah.
It's just that I always say, look, corruption's never going to end. So at least have the person that's talking to the people at least try to sound competent. That's it. I think it's a coincidence, so that this is kind of like what happened with Bush when the war was happening and everybody wanted to have big. Remember, we wanted him to be a one-term president because of how he handled the war.
Mm-hmm.
This is just I feel like times 100,000. Are we recording what's happening?
We're like, is this
Yeah, I mean, yes, this is the interview. We've already started. Yeah, I don't like. I like to make it loosey goosey. I don't like to just sit down and ask questions. That just doesn't seem natural at all. So
yeah, hell yeah.
But I mean, I can ask questions if that makes you comfortable.
So we're not doing the top 5 best moments of our life.
No.
Well,
are we?
Give me, please, the top 5 Spanish-speaking comedians. And no, that seems like something that
I feel like I'm taking a quiz or something, like a pop quiz.
It's got to be short form, please. But yes, well, no, seriously, thank you for sitting down, talking to me. This is great because I'd heard. I listened to a bunch of Earwolf podcasts, so I'd heard all of the commercials when you guys were coming to the network, and they annoyed me so much that I had to.
Yes,
good. It works.
Carlos.
It is. Oh, it's the bane of my existence, that first commercial.
Well, it confirmed what we all were thinking.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Hey, whatever gets them.
Yeah, to change it up.
I mean, but now it's been what, a year or a year and a month since you guys launched?
6 months, 3 months.
Oh my gosh!
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
Jesus,
Jeez, that's wild.
How's it been going from a live presentation to a podcast and still trying to, when we were before the pandemic, and still trying to juggle both of those at the same time?
I think it's turned into therapy. I think we've kind of come together to kind of deal with.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a different. I think it's just naturally a different vibe. I think I'm in the ballpark of how we're treating the podcast through the pandemic. Because we're not really performing. We used to have at the end of every interview, we used to do a set, but there was something about being in person that allowed that to happen. And we just felt like that doesn't maybe through Zoom is not the,
Yeah.
anybody take this
No.
and pick it up?
No, yeah. I mean, I was gonna say, because I know you mentioned like how like pre-pandemic we did have live show and podcast. And like at least for me, I'm like one of like the one that like kind of like organizes like book, like I like do the emails, like the business kind of stuff for us. And at some points it will be really crazy because I'm not like a manager, but it's like I'm getting off 4 of our schedules, plus making sure like the live show stuff also, you know, whatever, like we have that going on. And then like making sure that the guest can make it. And like sometimes, you know, Carlos and I mean, they audition like crazy. Like all of us audition a lot. So even like pre the pandemic, like we're in the middle of like scheduling 10,000 things, plus like whatever random like brand deals we get, or like, you know, like show requests and things like that. So I will say, weirdly, it's still busy now for us, but like before it was just like a constant like craziness where I don't think we really took like a breath. I don't know, like I feel like we kind of talked about this in one of the podcast episodes when like the pandemic started, and then we're kind of like, oh, okay, cool, like we only need to do this once a week now, because before it was like, are you available Monday at 10:30, because that's when I could get this guest in. Cool, who's good? Okay, great. And then like that morning, like somebody would like have an audition or a callback, and it's so much crazier to schedule and like feel organized. Like even though there's less now too, I still feel like less organized. I don't know. I feel like a mess either way.
I think also the way that this show has transitioned post pandemic or during pandemic is that during this time, it's really easy to sort of sink into this individual hole of self-doubt, and sort of like you have your own ideas bouncing in your head. You feel very isolated. And honestly, a personal experience, I think having this podcast has helped me have a soundboard of different, the thing is like, we're all Latinx, but we're all incredibly different with our points of views, our political backgrounds, you know what I mean? Just like our upbringing. So it's very important for me to discuss the political climate, our health, just random stuff, silly stuff even, with people that I consider my family, rather than sort of like caving into Instagram or Facebook and sort of just going nuts in my own sort of like information bubble, you know? So for me, it has been sort of therapeutic, and also having these guests with such insightful perspectives has helped me so much, being like, it's pretty bad now, but like there's ways that we're all as a Latinx community are handling it that are just like enriching our souls, even if we don't feel like we're getting any work done career-wise or business-wise. Like I do feel like we're doing the work spiritually in order for us to sort of equip ourselves with the armor necessary to tackle on what's happening now and the year that's ahead. So it's been very helpful for me.
I think also on the plus side, we've had access because of Zoom. We've had access to maybe some guests that we wouldn't have otherwise.
Yeah.
But in person, a lot of people, and that was contingent on them being in LA and all that stuff. And I think that kind of opened that up.
Yeah.
So we're looking
Definitely. Definitely. The scheduling has been a little bit easier for sure. How can I say? Yeah.
Yeah, the guests you've had on for the past couple of months have been great. Like I love Felipe Esparza. He's definitely one of my favorite. He was one of the first comedians I saw when I was getting into comedy, not live, but like on Comedy Central's Presents.
Okay.
So it was always good to hear him. But I want to get back to your work within the Latinx community, because that's such an important aspect. I think what we're missing here in the current climate with, you know, police-involved shootings of Black people, I think that we're also forgetting that a lot of these issues aren't just Black and white. I think it comes, you know, it's Asian, Latinx, Indian. It's just, there's so many different things out there. And Spanish Aquí Presents, I'd never seen the live show until this week when I was looking up your YouTube channel, and I watched the Natalie Morales one, and I didn't know how different it was from the podcast. It was a presentation of a showcase of talent from people from your community, and it was brilliant and lovely, and it felt like it was a moving experience as I was watching it. And so I just think that whether you're volunteering in the community or giving people who never had a leg up, I think that's a lovely sentiment.
Thank you.
That's very nice.
That's so nice.
Can we take that as a blurb from you?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Feel free to use it.
Soundbite. No, I think
Yeah.
I think Riza can definitely take this, because I think this was from the get-go. This is kind of what we wanted to do at UCB, and because there was a void. And I'm not even, Riza, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we did this. Like I was on, if you are familiar with UCB, I was on a Herald team. It was for a year. I got cut. The notes I was given were the most vague thing ever. And I was just like, I had gotten so many people that were like, oh, it's so nice to see someone that talks like me or that looks like me or that, can talk about their abuela, or, you had a blackout in Spanish. Like, I've never seen that in my fucking life. Like, and I've been coming to Herald's every Monday for whatever years, and, just like hardcore comedy people. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I'm here just like having fun and like obviously nervous, on the back line every Monday or Friday that I had a show. But then, I got cut. I had my sad girl month, whatever. And then I just was like, wait a minute, I had submitted for this show with Carlos, Tony, and Oscar, like before I even got cut. And then I was like, oh no, fuck this. Like, what the hell? We didn't get response. I'm not on a stage right now, like representing any of our people. Like there's barely like Los Angeles has like, I think 43 or 45% Latinx. And I was like, how the fuck? Like, I know there's comedians out here that look like us and that are doing what we're doing in an indie level or whatever, And so like when we met up, and we finally got a meeting or whatever, and we like got our date to have the first show. Like I made we all made sure like we talked, we were really open with each other and just kind of like, okay, like, yeah, sure. Like I want to get celebrities out here for sure, because that's something that we're gonna, the Latino community is gonna come out for us because they're down to like support our things, and then it was like, but it's not only about them. Like we do want to put those people that came up to us after a show. Like, there's people that, have come up to all of us at different shows and just like express like just happiness and like joy, honestly, just like by seeing us on stage. And also like, it just proves that there was a need in the community because the show sold out. We didn't promote it. I had something personal that came up and I had to fly to Miami. And then like, we didn't really promote or post or anything literally till like a week before.
And we had shows in the past. Just it's important for everybody to know that we were on a different team that was like, and it was all Spanish improv, and we were given some weird slots, and you can say whatever you want, but we were really not prepared for the 100% showing up of the entire, like we sold out and consistently sold out in a way that we weren't ready for it, which is an amazing and beautiful thing. Like that weekend, I just could not sleep just thinking about it. Besito, which also didn't help, but like the adrenaline alone, that first show was so amazing. And I don't, and I didn't see it coming. And then it was like so beautiful. Yeah.
And like, I think like, I think our first show, we were kind of like worried, like, oh, like what celebrity? Like, I was like, I don't know. Like, I mean, I've booked celebs for other shows that we had done before, but I was still like, just figuring it out, like, as we went. Like, I was just like, all right, well, let me try this. And like, it came to a point that after like only maybe 3 or 4 shows, I started having people hit me up like, oh, my friend is the lead on this show. Oh, you know what? This very famous Latina actress is down to do your show. I was having coffee with her and I told her, and I was just like, okay, yeah, cool. Like send them on my way. And it was really empowering for me as like a Latina and like, the boys as well. Like, cause it's like, sometimes you feel like you're not being seen also by like Hollywood. Like, yeah, there's a difference between like comedy live, improv UCB people knowing who you are, but then there's a different thing when like, casting directors just start showing up to your show, like not the uninvited, like, of course, yes, please keep coming. But like, it was one of those things that I was like, oh, cool. Like this is becoming a stage where people can get can get reps and get casted and be known, be someone in their app, like, what do you call it? What's that thing? Atmosphere?
Yeah, atmosphere. Yeah, environment.
Environment. Yeah.
But I also think I think that we were nervous about the show, the beginning of the show, because our whole sort of the reason of the show is to build Latinx community, right? And in theory, that's incredible. Oh my gosh, like, of course this should be, but we have been ingrained to believe that those spaces are not for us. There was a little doubt in our heads. We were the byproduct of a all-white comedy scene, like an all-white venue. And we were sort of like, okay, like, I know this is going to work, but is it? Because we've been gaslit our entire lives saying that there can only be one or two by POC in white spaces, and that's it. And you want a show where it's all Latinx people? What? Wow. And thank goodness people came through and showed up, because honestly, it's like, we built the show, but the people came to the show, the community showed up, and we would not have this show today. We would not have this podcast today if the community wasn't interested. Right. So I do think it's like a, cause and demand sort of thing of like, we want to bring up our Latinx community, but thank God the Latinx community responded in such a positive and amazing way. So that was great. And then it proved to us that, like, oh, we don't need white voices to elevate our own. Like, we can do that ourselves. We can support ourselves inside of our community. And that was, honestly, that was powerful and magical for me.
I would take it even further, because this is so that you understand what was happening. We were also, not only were we surprised at the community showing up, at the same time, we were concerned that we were going to get we were not going to go on. Even though we're selling out. I need you to understand what that is, because now we're processing it because it's been 2 years, but like, literally we sold out, and we, at the end of the show, were like, maybe we'll get cut. Like,
hopefully we can do another one of these.
The thing that Oscar was talking about being ingrained. Like, we really had that first year, we really, every time we would sell out, and every time I'd be like, this could be over. And it's ridiculous now to think about it, because if you're selling out, it should make you feel like you're doing something right. But even then, at the beginning, we were like,
Well, because we had, these sold out shows with these very cool people, and we had a white woman deciding every month whether we would continue. So, it's just like that. Like, it's plain and simple. That's what it was. The person in charge, really made it a terrible, like, it was like, this is supposed to be such a, like, beautiful thing for the community, and like,
they were not an ally.
Yeah. And it was just like, okay, well, continue to prove yourself. And it's like, fuck, dude, you got a bunch of mediocre white boys on fucking big teams. And like, here we are, like, selling out with like really cool, like, guests and the community. And so, it was definitely how Carlos said. It was every show we're like, okay, well, I guess we should get someone else just in case. So, like, when do we know if this is like for real? And then the podcast definitely made it really feel like for real, even though, like, we did the pilot and then it didn't come out, for, I don't know how many months, like 8 months until we did the pilot. And,
almost a year.
Yeah. So.
Anyway, what was your question?
That's perfect.
We just went off.
No. I love it. It's when UCB shut down the New York stages, I immediately had an interview with our local improv organization here, and they're not for profit, so they get their money via the community. And those people were just so they had negative things to say about UCB and like how you can't make money off of that, or like be sustainable from that. And so hearing their side and then also your side as well is really solidifying that UCB and Chicago IO, now that it's closed down, and those other ones, was the other improv places, they're doing comedy in a way that's not sustainable, that doesn't work. And when you exclude parts of the community and you say that comedy is 7 white guys all wearing the same polo shirts.
Flannel.
Flannel. You're not doing.
Sorry, Carlos.
No offense, Carlos. No.
Sorry, Carlos. Baby.
You're not doing anything. So it's
comedy interview. Give me a flannel.
And I can't wear flannel because then I go on stage wearing a flannel and I get immediately called a chola.
Oh my
So
God.
it's like the opposite. Like literally I wore it one day and like 3 people made a comment. I was like, fuck you guys. Like what? Like it's like I'm not whatever.
Yeah, but I also think the comedy spaces are honestly a reflection of, you know, the bigger picture, Hollywood at large. It's not
Yes,
it's
sir.
not much different there either. There's no precedent set in place for white Hollywood or mainstream Hollywood to look out for BIPOC. Like there's no reason for it. You know, it's survived this long, and what's happening slowly, but what's happening, period, is that Black spaces, white, Asian spaces, like South Asian spaces,
Yeah.
disabled spaces, are pushing aside these mainstream spaces and forcing their way in. And we're just a representation of that. Like we literally had to force our way in because they weren't listening to us, you know?
Oh yeah, they don't want us.
And
It's okay.
That's where I know Tony and Carlos, you guys are on Hentified, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
And Oscar, are you on Hentified as well? I don't think
No.
Blaze is on. Okay.
I'm definitely not.
Maybe the second season.
Look, we pitched it to them. We had them at a show, and we did a little intro bit where we like all auditioned.
Yeah.
And that was a very fun bit to do. But yeah, no, it's a great show. Carlitos is in it, and Tony has a really fun role. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like it just goes back to like that's you're shoehorning your way in there with this type of show. That show was missing not only from just streaming, but also not Kate. Well, I would say Kate, except for Vita. Vita was there too.
Yeah.
Shows like Vita
One
and
Day at a
Hentified.
Time.
And One Day at a Time, yeah. And it just
For sure.
it sucks that they have to be segmented and spread out so far, but they're coming. And they're coming strong, and they're good shows. They're not like, you know, I don't want to shit on Big Bang Theory, but they're not Young Sheldon or Big Bang Theory or Mom.
Right.
They're not that. They're
You can. I'm
Yeah.
just kidding.
Tony's a huge Young Sheldon fan, so
Look, Kaylee Kuko. Nobody knew. who she-
Cuoco?
What? How do you say it? Like,
Cuoco.
oh, whatever. Mira, whatever. I look.
Say it in Miami though.
Okay, look, Chad.
Kelly Cuco
La Kaylee Kuko. Mira, que I can't say people's names, and it's fine because nobody can say my name. So I'm like, it works out for me.
We're even.
It's fine. No, but like I remember she was like always number 1 on IMDb. Someone told me this, and I never knew who she was. Like for years. And then like I was like, oh my God, like she's a white girl on Big Bang Theory. And like that show's not great. Like what? Like there's so many other like POC people that should be so much higher. I don't know. I mean, not to shit on her, but like specifically, but I don't know. I just was like, yeah, there's so many other better Black and brown shows out there that need to be.
Well, it's like it's not that it's a bad show. It just doesn't speak to us as an audience at all.
Yeah.
And I think we've like lived our entire lives sort of catering to white audiences, like forcing ourselves to look at ourselves in an all-white cast. You know,
Yeah.
like for example, you know, like I would watch a TV show and be like, oh, this guy with the glasses is me, and it's the white dude with glasses. It's like, oh, that's the sort of diversity that I grew up watching on TV. You know what I mean? Like it's now that's changing. Now there's more variety where I can be like, oh my gosh, look at the scope of the people that are being represented on TV. Look at these families that I'm getting to see, you know, One Day at a Time and Hentified, like dysfunctional families, not stereotypical, right? Three-dimensional, worthy of storylines, story arcs even. Can you imagine? More than one episode dedicated to a person of color?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. You know? And that's special. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's true.
And we've had guests from all those Latinx shows that you mentioned. And I feel like a common thread that's come up is like that we, of course, are fans of all of them. And as you said, they are actually very, very good shows. But that the showrunners and the stars of those other shows are also fans of the other Latinx shows. And I feel like the Hollywood story is that like this show has to be representative of, you know, so like and of course we've said it before, the Latinx experience, as we're noticing with this election, is so diverse. Like it's not the monolithic.
Well said, Tony. Well said.
I mean,
Yeah.
get onto the Cuban voters. But like there could be multiple stories.
Don't get me started.
Oh my God.
The resident Cubans from the group are not having it.
Oh my God.
Well,
But Dade was blue. I want to make sure that it's
Dade was
clear.
blue, but my father
Miami
was
Dade
red.
305. Where is it? 305 here. Oh no, it says Miami. Just kidding. My 305 broke.
Okay.
Was blue. Sorry. I just want to make sure we all know that. Go ahead. It was a white people of Florida.
Look, my county is blue too. I'm very happy about that. Biggest county in Georgia, Fulton County. There we go.
Oh, tight.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah. We're in this. But also, I live in a gentrified neighborhood where that is like a street over. There's not projects. There's low income housing, and then a street over from that, it's newly built townhomes. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
take that as you will. What should we kind of touched on this a little bit? What should white listeners get out of this show? Because I feel that from both watching the live show and from listening to the podcast, I feel my concern is that going to UCB, in particular for the live show, and doing that show and then saying, hey, we need a one-word suggestion, and someone goes, tacos, like that would piss me off to no end. But then also, asking the dumbest, like if you guys ever did listener questions for the podcast, if someone asks a stupid question, that would just, make me not uncomfortable, but, just not make things better. So what should white listeners learn from being a part of the Spanish Aquí audience?
This is something that we've done from the get-go, even when we were with Provisos Peligrosos. We took all these moments and we kind of held the audience accountable for their actions for the most part. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think every time that something happened, we kind of called it out to kind of make it known that it wasn't okay. I think that kind of transfers over to the podcast in the way that we treat everything from our point of view.
Yeah.
I think that's
I think like we do. Look, you're going to learn about the Latinx culture inevitably just listening to any episode, even the episodes that, we just recorded a couple that will be coming out in a couple weeks, and it was just like us just talking. But like you're listening to 4 Latinxers talk about their experience, and you're going to learn something. Like we're gonna, without trying to educate you, it's gonna happen. With me personally, you're gonna hear me call out white people a lot. Like I don't care. There's a saying in Spanish called "Yo no tengo pelo en la lengua." I don't got hair in my tongue, and I feel like
nobody really does, but
yeah, but whatever. It's a Cuban saying. I don't know if other people say it, but the Cubans say it a lot.
It's different in English. It hits different.
It hits different, yeah. But like I don't know. I'm like it's funny because like I have like friends or like family and stuff that they'll listen and they'll be like, damn, bro, you called out white people real hard on this one, huh? And I'm like, yeah, well, I don't know. Like, if you follow me on social media, I'm still doing it. I'm doing it on the podcast. I'm doing it in a conversation at a bar. And, the truth of the matter is, because of comedy, I do have a lot of white friends. And, sometimes they need to hear it from me. And it's because I am that Latina that shows up to like a girls' night and it's all my white girlfriends and I'm the one person of color. Mm-hmm. Or like maybe like me and my other friend that is Black, maybe. And so I think like a lot of people will learn stuff and learn how we feel in situations, because I think a lot of times people just like to like, put us as the victims or like, oh, well, like how Tony said, like they're all the same. And it's no, like it really shows how we are all so different, like especially where we grow up and where we come.
I like that. That's a good one.
Yeah. And I also think the misconception of the podcast, because I've guested on a bunch of different podcasts where they're like, oh, so it's a Spanish podcast. It's like,
yes.
No, it is not a Spanish speaking podcast. That's like the biggest and I say it every time I guest on all these different podcasts where I'm like, it is not just for Latinx people. It is for everybody. And it is about the Latinx experience, but it's not for Latinx people exclusively, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's also not in Spanish. We're not alienating any like listeners because there's a huge population of Latinx people that don't speak Spanish, and that's totally fine. There's a lot of Spanglish going on. Don't get it twisted. You know what I mean? But I do think that it's more of an inclusive experience. I think that white people can and should listen to Spanish Aquí Presents. I think it's a podcast that will, again, like what Riza was saying, educate people in a not preachy way, I don't think, you know?
Yeah.
But I think it's like a look at these 4 very different Latinx lives and see how they sort of navigate the world in Los Angeles. And you know, I would, and we have fun. So, if I were white, I'd listen to the podcast.
We got a lot of white people that DM us, and like they honestly, like genuinely, like from all over the world, they're like, "Thank you so much," or "I didn't know like that Cuban said this," or "I didn't know that like, about Carlos, being Puerto Rican," or whatever that is, because he plays a Mexican on the show, or I just found out because we heard him, whatever that is, and it's cool, like people become a fan of us separately, and they become a fan of the podcast, and then they learn about all of us.
I love it. Well, where else do you see, since the show was a live show and then it turned into a podcast, where else do you see it expanding into? Like I can see it going, well past the audio space and the segmented improvisational space.
And you.
So do we.
We agree.
Mm-hmm.
Pandemic is a funny thing.
Yeah. I'm like, how can we answer?
Television. We want television.
Yeah. We have some ideas. And
Everybody just got so weird. We'll see what happens. Well, if we are allowed to dream, pre-vaccine.
Because we have some ideas for stuff, but I think what's really crazy and like honestly like amazing is that all of us individually are like, we all do so many things like and so like as a team, like we do want to do more stuff, and I think it's just a matter of finding that time to also like continue working on that, because again, we're in a pandemic, so like it's really hard to just like meet up and then like do all these meetings and pitch stuff, but I'm sure people will see us doing some other things soon on TV, maybe.
We were cooking.
Exactly.
Putting stuff together, but unfortunately, obviously, everything comes to a grinding halt. So thankfully, we can still survive through the podcast.
Yeah.
Well, now production's starting back up, so hopefully, we'll be able to find something.
Is it though? I'm like, because every time I hear that, then I see another fucking article that this one was shut down and this one was shut down, and I'm like, oh, for the love of God, I'd kill to be a background extra for at this point. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, I miss it. I hope it stops shutting down.
well, NBC just canceled Connecting. So if you find a Latinx Zoom-based show,
they canceled it. It just came out.
They pulled it from the schedule, and the rest are going to air on Peacock, I think. So
you're kidding.
That was the show based on people being in the pandemic.
Yeah. It's a Zoom show.
Yeah.
Never in hell.
I mean,
it probably is a good show. I just feel like too soon.
Right.
Too soon. It's too soon.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to know, like, what is on TV? Like, I just keep seeing all these like POC shows getting canceled, and I just want to know, like, what the fuck is on TV? Like, all these shows, like, there's barely any sports.
A lot of shows have been getting canceled. Shows that have been picked up have been getting canceled.
Yeah.
Like, just trying to get through the year.
I mean, getting an audition is like
actors. Usually actors have to worry about either first getting cast, getting through the pilot, then not getting recast, then the pilot getting picked up, and now on top of that, now we got to worry about like at any moment, even if you get picked up, it can get taken out. So it's like there's no
for real.
There's no sense of serenity for there's just more anxiety piled on for actors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel bad. Even that show on becoming a god in Central Florida, that guy can't. That was a highly praised show.
I know.
Yeah.
It is like complete. It's like you could be doing everything right and still have no control of the outcome.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
It's like the industry knows what it's like to be a BIPOC or a minority.
Yeah, I will say I have seen some shows that were pretty heavily not diverse. That's how I'll say it. And them getting canceled, I was like, I literally thought the same thing, Tony. I was like, oh, I wonder if they feel like if they were like a black show or a brown show, like how they just get barely a season, which I think is also something that we've talked about, like on the podcast, like we're like a lot of, you know, our shows, our PLC shows don't really get a chance. Kind of like, you know, to bring it back to like the comedy world, you know, the white mediocre boys get put on these teams and they're mediocre, but God forbid any of us be mediocre, have a bad show, you know, it's like so much more is expected.
Yeah, normalize BIPOC normalcy, please. Mediocrity.
No, normalize mediocrity.
Yeah, no,
But
please.
POC mediocrity.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yes.
That's what
Yes.
You know, white mediocrity is like not just normalized, it's idolized.
I mean, it's idolized,
It
yeah.
Amy Coney Barrett, honey.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Queen of mediocre.
It's the worst shows get the most praise, and it's insane.
Because it's safe. It's safe. And like the one thing that we know about America and Americans is that they don't like feeling uncomfortable or stepping out of their comfort zone, right? So if everything is packaged in a way that they understand and they're safe and you're not pushing any buttons, then that's great for them, right? But I think we have to push, but we have to make content that push people's buttons. That way, that's progress. Mm-hmm. We cannot progress if we don't challenge ourselves as viewers, right? As people who are writing content. Like if you're not pushing boundaries or experimenting with your borders, like there will be no progress happening. Yeah. And I think what's happening is that like the American audiences are afraid to challenge people's comfortability. But we have to, and in order for us to grow as a community, as a people, we have to, you know, watch something that is a little uncomfortable, like challenge, like talk about themes that are challenging, you know, like especially this political climate, like, like let's talk, let's get uncomfortable. We have to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's what a show like Lovecraft Country is able to trick people into watching and enjoying a show that is essentially about, you know, blacks not having rights.
Oh my gosh. But isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? You know what I mean? Like with black entertainment in particular, that's what it is. You said the magic word, trick. Because people come and see and they're like, wait a second. Oh, like for example, Get Out, which is an iconic horror movie. Mm. I feel like people like Jordan Peele tricked white audiences to get into Get Out because they were like, oh, it's a horror movie, but with black people. And that's all it is. And that's great. But then when they see it, it's like, oh, wait, it's more than that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm holding up a mirror to my own racism. Yeah. Oh shit. You know, like, and that's transformative, right? You know, and I'm sure that movie changed so many perspectives on people that were watching it. That's what we need to do. That's what we need to do.
As you say that HBO figured it out after Watchmen came out, they're like,
Yes, Watchmen is a perfect example. Yeah. Oh my God, Carlos, that's it, Carlos. Watchmen is the prime example.
I would like to add Rami as well to that because I think especially like with, you know, Rami, like being Muslim, like it has a different type of stereotype, you know, as like terrorist and like criminal, you know, like all like that kind of thing. Yeah. And like watching that show, like I'm not Muslim and like I mean it's literally one of my top 3 maybe I don't know like favorite shows like that I've watched in the past couple of years where I was like, oh fuck, like all these characters can be so relatable in so many different ways. And like, I'm not a 57-year-old Muslim mother or whatever that is, but you watch these episodes and like, you see the discrimination or like how they feel as a woman of color, whatever that is. And I was like, oh, like I'm able to tap into that. And I think that that's part of what we need white people to watch these shows and like also be able to relate to it in whatever way that is and just like watch it, like give these fucking shows a chance, give these comedy shows a chance, give these like, these Latinx podcasts a chance, because if you're not trying, then like you're not like you're gonna be ignorant. Just because you post a couple things on Instagram doesn't mean you're fucking woke. Like, I'm done
You
with
might
that
not like
shit.
it, but maybe you will. Who knows? Like that's the thing. Like we're not open to something. We're not saying, hey, you gotta watch this.
Yeah.
Otherwise you hate people. We're just saying be open to trying out new things, because you never know if you're gonna end up liking something on your own. And
Fine, I'll try Young Sheldon.
Look, I watch a lot of white shows, okay? And I give them I will say this, my boyfriend makes fun of me all the time. He's like, you watch that whole like Emily in Paris. I was like, I watched the whole thing. And he was like, but you just complain to me every night about it. And I was like, because I don't know why. I had to finish the series and like confirm that my opinion was what it was from the first episode, but I fucking watched that shit. But you know how many people, they start watching a black or brown show or like, any other person of color, and they're like, pilot is not good, not for me, next. I did that with Schitt's Creek, and look at Schitt's Creek. I did that with the pilot episode. It's like, I can't get into it. Everybody told me, watch it. I was like, it's so many white people, I don't really care. And I watched it and I was like, thank God I watch it. I do enjoy it. But I think it's like more people need to fight for our shows like that.
Yeah, that's the root of it. The root of it is like, if you watch a piece of content that's outside of your comfort zone and you don't like it, for you to not go, oh, then all of that is bad, I cannot watch it. As opposed to, I didn't like this specific, but maybe at some point down the line there'll be something. And I think that's the privilege. And I talked about that when I was, talking about Gentefied when we were doing classes. Like, there's a privilege in not having to represent everybody, and there's a privilege in saying, hey, if this show is not good, it's not representative of all the other shows that could be good. And that's what we're fighting for. And I think that we're slowly but surely like grabbing some territory and like making a positive change.
Yeah, I was listening to the Amy Carrero episode, and she's a princess. She's a Disney princess. No one includes her inside of the Disney princess verse, and they barely want to include Princess Tiana, and same thing for Mulan. Like it's so stupid. Like, imagine the entire world. Imagine how many people are fans of Disney, and then imagine how many of those people are racist. Like, just.
Also, she couldn't even get a movie. She gets a TV show, which thank you. I mean, super like duper like appreciated. A bunch of seasons, great. Like, I love it. Like, I love that like little kids are watching this. But also, like, give us a fucking Disney fucking princess. Like Coco was like this huge thing. You guys saw what the Latinx community came, like, we come out, Black people, Asians, Latinx people, like, we come out, like, make money off of us, but put us on, like, just put us on and give us some money too.
That's all we have to do. Well, guys, I feel like I've taken so much of your time. And I really do appreciate it. Thank you. This has been truly amazing.
This is great.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're allowed to vent as much to me. No one really comes to the website. I get big names and no one comes to the website. So you're allowed to vent and no one's going to.
So Kaylee Kuko's not going to read this? Or?
No. Maybe Craig Ferguson.
Maybe
I love Craig Ferguson.
I had him a couple of months ago. Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah, he's wonderful. He gave me a good half an hour, and we shot the shit. It was fun.
Oh, hell yeah.
Well, awesome. Seriously, I'm gonna get the word out. Happy birthday to the show. 6 months late, but I'm glad you guys are doing it. Seriously, continue doing amazing work, and you've got a fan for life from me.
Yay, thank you. And if you're ever in LA and the world is open and we're performing, holler so you can come to watch a show.
Hell yeah.
I'm like, I say that, but like, listen, I'm like, who knows when that'll be.
At some point. Yeah, 2 years from now.
Oh, God, I can't. I don't even want to think that long, but yeah.
Don't worry. We'll find out who wins tomorrow, hopefully, or next week at least.
Yeah.
And
we'll see.
I was
It could be
tonight.
You know what? It could be any of those days.
Who could say?
Yes. Sabe.
Dale. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Chad.
All right, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Guys.